Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, a show where we get you answers for all of your stock-related queries. Remember, viewers, you can connect to us on the WhatsApp number that'll be flashing on your screen. Do remember, each time you write to us, mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in, mention that name as well, along with the buy price, the quantity, and the time horizon. With that, our experts will be able to help you better. And talking with the experts, today we have Osho Krishan, who's joining us on the technical front, and on the fundamentals, we have Lancelot Dcunha, who's there with us. A very good morning to you, Osho, as well as Lancelot. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And let me kickstart taking the queries then. And the first query that I have is coming from Virendra. He wants to know about Engineers India. Osho, I'll come to you for this query. He has about 100 shares of Engineers India at a price of around 210 rupees per share. He wants to know at what level should he look to book profits? Should he book profits already, or should he stay put with the stock, hoping that it will go higher?
Very good morning. Firstly, Engineers India is looking very positive to me. From here onwards, I'm expecting that in the short-term perspective, there can be a target of 270, but that is just a first resilience for this counter. The time it surpasses the zone of 270, then from there onwards, one can see a decent rally in Engineers India. So from short to medium term perspective, 295 to 300 will be the first target for Engineers India. But even after that, the technical setup is very positive. So I will suggest to stay invested in this counter if you don't have the requirement for the money.
All right, moving on to the next query. And Lancelot, the first query that I have for you is coming from Alok from Delhi, and he wants your advice on two counters. He's holding CESC, has bought 10,000 shares at a price of 129 rupees, sitting at a good profits in this one. And the other stock is Thirumalai Chemicals. Here too, he has bought 10,000 shares, buy price 320, but is at a loss in this one, where the stock is around 300 rupees right now. So Lancelot, he wanted your advice on both of these. Should he continue to hold both of these or exit any of them?
So I think CESC, is being in the distribution as well as the power generation business is going to see good growth going forward. And we have seen the stock also move in anticipation of, the government's thrust or focus on improving power distribution as well as power generation. So CESC definitely has a good future, and it should continue to hold. Although it has risen up significantly, from the last couple of months. So one should not really look to buy anymore at this point in time, but one can continue to hold because the outlook is good. As far as Thirumalai chemicals are concerned, I think the overall chemical industry is seeing a bit of a sell-off in terms of raw materials because China started producing, the chemicals back again, and there was a bit of overstocking or destocking that was taking place in the global markets. And given that background, you are likely to see that the short-term pressures would be there in terms of companies like Thirumalai Chemicals to be able to maintain their margins at last year's levels. And so the softening of margins means that you could see a fall in the valuations as well. Given that the stock has moved up considerably over the last couple of months, I think one should look at moving. If you want to stay invested in that sector, then should look at maybe better companies who are better poised to take advantage of the China plus one story, more like companies like Deepak Nitrite or SRF. They would be better opportunities to invest in this space.
Right. This one is coming in from Sastamani, who's writing to us from Coimbatore. Adani Enterprises is the stock Osho. Our viewer has already bought this counter at a price of around 3,234 rupees per share, about 300 odd shares, and bought it about 5 months or so. What's your take on Adani Enterprises? Stay put with this one to make better profits, or look to book out profits with whatever he has right now?
Overall, the technical setup.
I beg your pardon, he's actually seeing a mild bit of loss in his holding.
Yes, no issues. The counter is looking very positive from the technical perspective. There has been a cycle of higher highs after hitting the bottom low for this counter. So I'm expecting if the person is holding this counter for a longer duration, then definitely it has the potential to provide a very decent alpha. So I'm expecting there has been a very strong consolidation going through in this counter near about 3,100 odd levels. But in the coming period, I expect the time it surpasses the zone of 3350, 3360, then there can be some kind of traction which will be returned in this counter. So overall, I will advise to keep holding this counter from medium to long term perspective. This counter has the potential to provide very decent alpha from a medium to long term.
All right then. Osho, once again coming to you, this query is from V. Ravichandran and he wants to have your take on AB Capital. What he's saying that those stock is trading nearly to its yearly highs, but it is advisable to stay invested in this one or maybe look out for better opportunities.
See, overall, in the recent period, there has been a strong traction in this counter. In this calendar year, approximately 42% of upsurge that has been seen. So, market setup or the technical setup has definitely been on the higher scale, near to the resilience for this counter. But I expect that there can be a further consolidation to cool off the technical development. So, if the time horizon is longer period, then definitely hold on to this counter with a strict stop loss of nearly 220. The time it surpasses or the time it falls below the zone of 220, then we can witness some kind of further correction in this counter. But for now, there is no sign of caution in this counter. Hold this counter with 220 stop loss from medium to long term perspective.
All right, this is coming from Sharmila. Two stocks is what she has in the portfolio. One is Astral at the price of around 2,125. The other counter is GNA Axles at a price of around 474 rupees per share. Lancelot, she wants to know, should she stay put with these counters? What sort of levels she can watch out for in the medium term, at least for Astral as well as for GNA Axle. For Astral, she's making profits. GNA Axle, her buy price is 474.
So I think one should continue to remain invested in Astral, although the valuations are looking a bit expensive. But if you look at a 3 to 5 year horizon, or if you have a at least a 3 year horizon, you are going to see growth, especially coming in from rural India. There's a big thrust of affordable housing that the government is going to be spending on, and Astral is one of the leading players as far as providing pipes and sanitation sets for developers. Plus, it's a very strong in the bonding business. They're providing various adhesives. So you're seeing good amount of growth. The company is well managed. Its working capital cycles are low, fairly good EBITDA margins. So given that the growth outlook is good, while the valuations may seem expensive, it's better to hold on to this company rather than try and sell it, because you will allow the compounding of profits to increase values over a period of time. There may be a period of sideways consolidation, but you are definitely going to see the stock much higher over the next 2 to 3 years.
All right then, Osho, once again coming to you, Satya is holding Sona Comstar and he's sitting at a 50% profit right now. But what's your advice coming in on this counter? Should he stay invested or continue to hold on maybe for the next 1 to 2 years? And if yes, then any levels to look out for?
See, for this counter is definitely in a very primary uptrend, having a cycle of higher highs, higher lows in a broader time frame. So I'm expecting that this should continue from medium to long term perspective. For short term, there can be some kind of hesitancy that can be seen in this counter near the zone of 740 to 750. Still approximately 100 points from here onwards. So for short term perspective, also the target comes around 750. For longer duration, looking at the overall setup, I expect that one should stay invested in this counter, and this can give a very strong profits or return on investment over a period of time.
All right, coming to you, Lancelot. Venkatesh from Dubai has warranty in his portfolio. I don't know if you tracked this one, but he's holding this stock for the last 3 years. The levels that he's purchased warranty is about 48 rupees per share. And if you look at the stock price right now, I think it's around 49 rupees per share or so. Wants to know what's the future prospect. Makes sense to stay put with this counter. Do you track this fundamentally, warranty?
No, actually, I don't track the counter, so it's very difficult to give a view on the counter. But if one has to invest into financial space, I'm sure there are, maybe larger companies which are, or in the tea space, I'm sure there are larger companies that, one can look at.
By any chance, Osho, have you been able to see the chart? Because if you see in the last 3 years, the stock price, I don't think has moved too much from where it is. The 48 rupees was a buy price for a warranty that Venkatesh purchased it at. And right now also it is around those levels. What's your take? Unmute.
So sorry.
And
This counter is definitely is not very liquid, so there is certainly very lackluster kind of a movement that can be seen in this counter. But I expect the overall trend is also not very much favorable for the bulls. So better to exit from the positions or try to look for other opportunities in other segments.
All right, that's the take coming in on this counter. But with this, it's time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere, viewers. We'll be right back to take more of your stock-related queries. Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now, show where we get you answers for all your stock-related queries. And to guide us today, we have Lancelot as well as Osho with us. And Lancelot, I'm coming to you for the next query. This one is on MosChip Technologies. Bharadwaj wants to know that is this a good stock to enter for a long term? Why I'm asking this? Because I know that this company is into the semiconductor manufacturing and government is also focusing on this. But in the last 1 month, the stock is already doubled. So anything interesting that is happening for this particular company? Do you track this one by any chance?
He is engaged in semiconductor manufacturing, and the government has announced initiative to boost semiconductor manufacturing in India. It is going to take a while before you can start to see profits accrue to this company, because it has to put in plans to manufacture, make bids along with a joint venture. Then they have to set up an entire facility. So it will take at least 2 to 3 years before you start seeing profits coming from that activity add to the current earnings of the company. And the stock has doubled in a very short period of time. So at this point in time, really from a risk return perspective, it doesn't offer an opportunity to make an investment. But yes, definitely a company to keep an eye on the radar. In case there's any serious price correction, then one can look at it when the valuations become attractive.
Lasta, let me come back to you because this is a query coming in from Sri Kishore Sharma, who's writing to us from Bihar. And he has about 100 shares of Keynes Technology. He's purchased at a level of 3,500. He's been holding it for the, he wants to hold it actually for the next 3 years, as well as Azad Engineering. 2,000 is a buy price, about 20 shares. He also wants to hold this for 3 to 5 years. Do you think that these counters are worth staying in the portfolio for that longer period, or one should look at gains to book up profits? Lancelot, these are for you. I believe we've just lost the connection with Lancelot. Let me take another query then till then. And this one is coming. I'll take it to you, Osho. Deepak Fertilizers is a counter. 34 shares at a price of around 560 rupees per share. Our viewer, Shahana, has bought it from Chennai. She wants to know whether she should stay put with this one, at what level she should exit out of Deepak Fertilizers. 560 is the buy price. She's making good profits.
See, overall, Deepak Fertilizer has given a very strong breakout from the zone of approximately 680, 690 odd levels. And from there onwards, I'm expecting that the uptrend in this counter should continue at least for 820, 840 odd levels. So for short-term perspective, if any dip comes towards the zone of 700, that should be seen as an opportunity to re-enter into this counter for a higher target of 820. And once it reaches the zone of 820, then one need to have a very strong overview that whether at those points also the counter is looking positive to hold. Then if yes, then definitely from there onwards also one can try to stay invested in with their portfolios.
Right, I think we have Lancelot back with us. Lancelot, do you want me to repeat the query? Keynes Technology, our viewer has at 3,500. Azad Engineering at 2,000. Wants to hold these counters for long term. Doesn't make sense.
Unfortunately, I don't track both of these counters, so I don't have much information on both of them. So let me have to pass this one.
All right, no problem then. Srishti?
All right, taking up the next query, and this one is from Manish. And Osho, if you can advise him on two counters. He has bought IDFC, 5,000 shares at a price of 125 rupees, and he also holding Sula Vineyards, 300 shares from a price of 500 rupees. What's your take on both of these names? His buy price is very near to the current market price as well. So should he stay invested or look out for better opportunities?
See, for IDFC, this counter is into a sloping channel. So there is a kind of a corrective phase that this counter is going through. And even in the recent period, I expect with the setup, the counter has the potential to test the zone of 110 on the lower end. So that is the support zone for this counter, while on the higher end, 125, 128 is the resistance zone. So this is the immediate zone in which I am expecting this counter to hover within. The time it breaches below above the zone of 125, then only there can be an strong upsurge for approximately 35 to 40 odd points. So 128, 125 should be seen as a very strong resilience zone, and one should keep a strong radar at these levels. And coming to the next query on Sula Vineyards, this counter has not done much in the recent period, but overall, on the technical setup, it is situated at a very strong support base or consolidation, which we have historically seen. So 480, 470 should be seen as a very strong support zone. So definitely one should try to hold this counter, keeping a stop loss of 470. While on the higher end, there is no traction for the time being, but the time it breaches the zone of 540, then again we can see some kind of a strong traction, pulling this counter towards the zone of 600, 620 odd levels.
Right, two more stocks coming your way then. Osho, this one is coming from Srinivas. He's writing to us from Dubai. Polyplex is the first counter that he's invested in at a price of around 2,000 rupees per share, as well as Rupa he's purchased at the price of 350 rupees per share. He's losing out in both of these counters. What's your take? How are the charts looking? Any scope of him making good money anytime soon?
See, for Polyplex, there is a very positive development finally happening in this counter on the technical front. After a very long period, this counter has emerged above the 200-day SMA, near about the zone of 950, 960 odd levels. So now from here onwards, there can be some kind of reversal or revival that can be seen in this counter. Not very much bullish yet, but 960, 950 should be seen as the strong support. While on the higher end, the immediate resistance comes around the zone of 1140 and 50. So this is the immediate resistance. If it able to surpasses the zone of 1150, then the momentum can likely to continue in the recent period. The other counter was Rupa. So for this counter, again, there is no strong technical setup as of now, but the counter is consolidating in a very narrow range, and outburst is likely to happen only above the zone of 300. So decisive closer above 300 can only boost some kind of positive momentum in this counter. For the time being, the range is 240 to 300. This is the range. Buy on dip and sell on rise should be the apt approach. But for investment perspective, a decisive breach above 300 can only give a very strong boost in this counter.
All right, Osho, one more query coming away, but that's a quick one. Srinu is holding Phillips Industries. Buy price is 333 rupees. What are the levels like target and the stop loss for this one for the shorter term investment horizon?
See, for Phillips Industry, I expect that this counter has seen a decent cool off on the technical development. So there can be a decent consolidation that can be happening near about 310 is a support zone, while on the higher end 340 is the resistance. The time it breaches the zone of 340, then only we can see some strong traction coming through in this counter.
Lancelot, let me come to you. Let me give a breather to Osho then. And this one is coming to you from Rama Jayanti, who's writing to us from Hyderabad and who has a Titagarh wagon in her portfolio, 215 shares at a price of 1,823 rupees per share. She wants to know what's a medium-term prospect coming in for Titagarh wagon, especially keeping in mind that we are heading towards their full budget. So what's your take? Titagarh wagons a keeper for their portfolio?
Yes, I think if she's already holding the stock, one should hold on to the stock because the budget is most likely going to talk about improvement in the rail infrastructure as well as expansion of the rolling wagons that there are there. There is also a lot of replacement that is going to happen. A lot of the old rolling stock is going to be phased out and fresh orders will be given. And given that Titagarh is well placed to take advantage of this growth, yes, this company would grow. But when you look at the valuations are very, very high at this point in time. The stock is, almost doubled in the last couple of months. So if you are looking to add to this portfolio, to this stock in your portfolio, then one should really wait for a serious correction. Otherwise, if you're holding on to the stock, you can keep on holding on to it because there is likely to be momentum in its favor, and that would give you much higher prices going forward as well.
All right, Lancelot, the next query is from Amit from Mumbai. He's writing to us for the first time, and I beg your pardon, Osho, if you can advise Amit on OMCs amongst BPCL and HPCL, do you like any stock at this point in time for a fresh investment where he can stay invested for the next 1 year?
See, overall, both the counters moves with the same tandem. So there is no difference on the technical front or the chart front that there will be some kind of difference in the price movement. But overall, both the counters are hovering within a consolidation zone. For example, BPCL is having a very strong consolidation near the 50-day exponential moving average. And in the coming period, if it breaches the zone of 320, then only we can see some kind of traction coming in for BPCL, and similarly for Hind Petro also. So both the counters are looking decent for the timing, but they lack traction for in the current period. So there can be strong traction coming after if both the counter move beyond their resilience zone.
All right, this next one is coming in from Srinath, who's writing to us from Chennai, and he wants a short-term target for Adani Energy Osho. He already has some 200 shares at a price of 1100 rupees per share. Should he look to book losses or continue to stay put with it? What's your take on Adani Energy? Clearly, this one he's purchased at an elevated level. So, what's your take?
See, definitely this counter is not doing anything in the recent 3 to 4 months. But overall, the only positive that can be seen in this counter that it is hovering above the 200-day SMA for the time being. So in the coming future, there can be some kind of movement. But as of now, technically, it is having a very strong lackluster kind of a situation. On the higher end, it can only gain traction above the zone of 1200, that too on a closing basis. But this is a very decent valuation and decent level for this counter. So I will advise to stay invested for longer duration.
All right, the next query that I have is on Reshma Bhatia. Osho, if you can guide her on ITC. She's holding 300 shares, buy price is 400 rupees at a small profits in this one, but continue to hold on or look out for better opportunities.
This counter waits for challenges for strong patience. So I will still suggest to stay invested in this counter for longer duration. For short-term perspective, 400 and 460 is the range. So any dip comes towards 410, 400, that should be seen as accumulation zone, and 460 should be seen as profit booking. But for longer duration, one should stay invested in this counter.
Right, Lancelot, coming to you, Raman from Chennai wants to know about some 2 to 3 shares fundamentally which he can look to buy for the medium term. What's your take? Any good bets in this current overheated market that you can see?
So I think in the short term, a lot of the good stocks have moved up. Where in the banking space, we've seen a couple of banks move up, like HDFC Bank, etc., which were offering good value. I think in the IT space, we saw now some of these IT companies move up. But if you're looking at a 2 to 3 year perspective, then one can definitely look at maybe making an investment in companies like Infosys, TCS, and in the banking space like HDFC Bank. I think you will see some traction going forward, and valuations haven't been stretched at this point in time. So you are getting these, in spite of the fact the market is up, you're getting them at a reasonable valuation.
All right, Lancelot, any stock that you like from the paper sector? Because we have seen that the paper prices have actually gone up, and all the stock price movement also, what you can see on the screen as well, great moves over there. So any paper counter that you like for the next 1 year investment horizon? This query is from RK Ahuja.
Yeah, so paper actually, is a cyclical commodity, right? So one has to look at investing in this when the actual prices are down. And of late, we've seen paper prices rise, and along with the rise in paper prices, we've seen the share prices of all the paper companies go up. So really, this is probably the not the correct time to buy into paper companies, even though the outlook might be better for the next 12 months, but the downside risk is still very high. If there's any negative, surprises on the pricing or the margin front, that could lead to a steep downturn. So paper companies, one should wait and buy into it when the cycle is at its close to its bottom, rather than when now it's peaking out shortly.
All right, so that's the take coming in on the paper counters. On that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. When we come back, we'll continue taking your queries. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, and let's continue taking your queries. This one is coming in from Vijay. He's writing to us from Bangalore. His queries on Natco Pharma Osho. He has 500 shares purchased at around 820 rupees per share. For the short-term target, he wants to know at what level should he look to book profits. His short-term is about 30 days, and he's already making healthy set of profits. So, what's your take?
See, overall, as he has made a very strong profit in this counter, I expect another further rally coming in the coming future. So, if he can hold the counter, then 1100 is a very strong support zone. One should definitely keep a strong stop loss around 1100 for further movement of approximately 150 to 200 odd points. So 1420, 1450 is the next target that one can eye for in Natco Pharma, and 1100 is a very strong support zone. Keep a stop loss for this and hold it for short to medium term time frame.
All right, so that's about Natco Pharma, and with that we will go ahead and kickstart rapid fire. And Osho, since you've come for the first time on the show and you're staying put with us till the rapid fire, in the next 2 minutes, we will try and ask you as many queries as possible. Please keep your answers short: buy, sell, hold, or in case you have a target, you can give that as well. And with that, let me kickstart with the queries then. Samba Siva Rao wants to know, in defense sector, Premier Explosives is a good buy for the long term, Lancelot?
One should hold on to it.
All right, Osho, what's your take on MOIL? Maveen Shah is holding 70 shares, buy price 565 rupees, short and long term targets.
Short term, immediately 560, 565 is the first target. If it breaches above that, then 620 is the next target.
All right, this one is coming from Amit, who's writing to us from Surat. Tata Tech, he has it at the levels of 1020 rupees per share. Lancelot, what to do with this one? Stay put with this or look to exit on profits?
No, I would stay put with this, and maybe if it declines, you can add. From a long-term perspective, it's a good company.
All right, Lancelot, the next query is on Allcargo Gati, wherein Suraj is holding the stock from a price of 117 rupees. Should he go ahead and add more of this counter, and whether to hold on?
Yes, he should hold on to this.
All right, the next query is on HDFC Bank, 250 shares at a price of 1400 rupees per share. Padmavati wants to know, Osho, is it a good time to exit out of HDFC Bank right now, or should she stay put for some more upside this month?
Stay invested in this counter. It has a very strong potential from short to medium term time frame.
All right, Osho, the next query is on PCBL. Rudra Gowda is holding 50 shares at a price of close to 270 rupees. Continue to hold on or exit this counter?
It is at a very strong support. Do hold it with a stop loss of nearly 245.
All right, I have a viewer whose name is not mentioned and the display name is in Kannada, but I'll ask to you, Lancelot. Canara Bank, good stock to buy right now and hold for the long term?
Well, if you're already invested, you can hold on to it, but I think the valuation is a little high, so avoid buying at this point in time.
All right, but with this, viewers, it's time's up in this edition of Rapid Fire as well as on the Buy Now Sell Now show. Thank you so much, Lancelot, as well as Osho, for finding time and coming out for this particular show and helping all our viewers resolve their stock-related queries. But with this, viewers, it's a goodbye from me and Cheryl and the entire team who put the show together. Markets continue to be at the record high levels, but with this, it's a goodbye. But don't go anywhere. Markets at noon will take the action ahead.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.